Stephanie, your daughters had their own bedroom when you met Drew. They had their own bedroom at your apartment with your mom. And then you know what you did? You took those two little girls and you moved them into a one-bedroom apartment with a man they didn't know. And his son. And you ruined not only your daughter's lives, but his son's life as well. Because that's a weird thing to do. And then on top of that, you had 2 additional kids, and then you didn't pay your rent, and then you forced them all into a motel room. Oh, and then also there were 4 cats. This enlightened decision that you're making right now to leave Drew has nothing to do with your kids. Because it's never been about your kids. It's been about you and what you want. And that's it. Also, my bad for disappearing for a couple of days there. I work in sales, and I gotta make sure that I hit bonus. Because I like money.
I want me to leave you alone, that's all.
Oh, you ain't gotta leave me alone, but...
I was just asking, when are we gonna get the donuts?
I told you. When are you gonna get used to being disappointed? It's gonna have to be you or me who go get him later. He done made his choice, he's not gonna take you.
What?
I'm sorry. I'm tired of that shit too. I'm tired of him saying he's gonna do stuff for my kids, and then he just, oh, maybe then, maybe that. Disappointment. Yo, we up in this motel, homeless, and you can't just take your daughter to a freaking store to get some donuts when you told her you were gonna do it? Yeah, I letting her know, like, girl, you really don't think that we're just... I'm gonna take you, baby girl. I got your back. If you have an issue with how I just laid facts out to my daughter of like, hey, we got this. Okay, cool. Raise your pillow soft, children. My kids are being raised with some tough skin. Right. I don't drive with it. Like, and I don't appreciate the, you're a kid, I'm parent, you do as I say, you have no opinion. Like, I don't like that kind of vibe of parenting at all. My kids have a voice, they can speak up. That's why she knows to come up and ask me in the first place if she's still gonna go get donuts. And if I was worried about y'all's opinions, I wouldn't have talked to her like that. I didn't do nothing wrong. Big petty energy it definitely picked the right name for yourself. Why you want to clout being petty? That's not even funny. I ordered a jumper for her, but it never came.
Let's be honest, Stephanie Jenkins' story is taking a turn, and not in the way her supporters hoped. What started as a tale of a struggling mother trying to hold her family together has slowly spiraled into something far messier. Behind the scenes and between the live streams, there's a growing sense that Stephanie isn't just overwhelmed, she's avoiding responsibility, and it's her children who are paying the price. At first, people followed her journey out of compassion. She was vulnerable, raw, and appeared to be doing everything she could to create a better future for her kids. But somewhere along the way, things shifted. The content started focusing less on solutions and more on Stephanie herself, her pain, her past, and her defensive choices that, to many, look increasingly reckless. The well-being of her children, which once seemed like the core of her mission, now feels like an afterthought. In a recent video, Stephanie opened up about how she and her partner, J.E., were raised. She described being hit with belts over small mistakes and mentioned being punished with a glue stick, a bizarre detail that left many viewers confused and concerned. While sharing past trauma isn't inherently wrong, the timing and repetition of these stories raise red flags. Instead of addressing the critical issues happening right now, like her children's living conditions or their safety, she continues to rehash the past as if it explains away every current misstep. And there are real, serious concerns. Stephanie and her children are reportedly all living in a single motel room, crammed together with no privacy, no space, and no clear path forward. On top of that, she's transporting 6 people in a 5-seater car, including 2 young children who legally require car seats. That's not just uncomfortable, that's dangerous. It's not something to be glossed over or justified in the comments. It's the kind of decision that could have real, legal consequences, not to mention long-term effects on the kids' health and safety.
I feel like it's been too freaking long since I've done a sub-only video. Catch me out of breath. I need to work out. I really need to start working out. I feel like I need to do another one of the series of the healing past experiences. So something that's been kind of like hitting me left and right, and I think I've mentioned this kind of just in and out in my videos, is I'll see a behavior within like some of my kids that was something that me or Drew were both like smacked around for, because both of our parents had the punishment of, for my parents, it was either a belt, a glue stick, or they even had like, it was weird. People through church would low-key make something they called paddles. I don't know if anybody else used that word. They call them paddles for for kids in the church, within the church. And my mom got like 2 or 3 different ones made specifically so she could smack her kids around like, what the heck? Anyways, and then Drew, I think it was just always the belt.
What's even more upsetting to her audience is the lack of transparency. Stephanie runs a paid subscription page where people willingly hand over their money every month. Many of them are parents themselves, people who genuinely care and want to believe they're helping a mother rebuild her life. But instead of real updates or a plan, they're being fed a mix of emotionally charged storytelling and vague, deflective answers.
I'm not even trying to be funny, but I want to know who are the people that actually support the Brazilian Jenkins. Like, she always posts on her videos about people supporting her and her actual supporters, but like, who actually supports them? Because anytime I see a video, it's people talking about them. And anytime I read their comments, it's people bashing them in the comments. So if you truly actually support them, can you let me know? Because I'm very curious. I never see anybody post anything positive at all. And Stephanie's stronger than me, because I don't know if I could handle all that negativity. No wonder sometimes she freaks out on her page, because I would be freaking out. I'd be flipping out. But if you actually support her, like, no hate against you, it is what it is. But I want to know if people actually do support her. And if you do, let me know why. Like, what is the reason that you support her? Is it because she's a mom? Is it because she's a stay-at-home mom? Is it because she's a stepmom, or whatever you want to call her? Like, what is the reason? What is the actual reason you support her? I'd be good to tell you why I don't support her.
Questions like, what's the housing timeline? Or, are you applying for jobs? Go unanswered, while entire live streams are dedicated to emotionally unpacking her upbringing or defending herself against online critics.
The Brazilian Jenkins have been staying in a hotel for 3 months. I am completely shocked. They're a family of 7, okay, 5 kids and 1 hotel room. It seems like yesterday when we learned that they weren't paying rent, even though they get a lot of views and make money on social media, they weren't paying the rent in their 1-bedroom apartment, so they got kicked out and now have been staying in a hotel. Well, once a month, they have to spend a night away from their hotel room. So yesterday, Drew went on live. Stephanie posted a video about how he walked from one hotel room to the next while Stephanie had the kids. But how do they all fit in the car though? It's 5 kids and Stephanie, and 2 of those kids are in car seats. So how did they safely get there? The fact that they're posting this information on social media is wild. Let's not talk about the fact that Drew decided to walk. It took him an hour to get to the next one, where he could have taken the bus. I guess he's too good for the bus. Or he could have taken an Uber, and if he got an Uber, then he can have one of the kids with him, or a couple of the kids with him, so they can all fit safely. This is crazy. But
then there's Bubba, her young son, who she says might be on the spectrum. According to Stephanie, he gets distressed when doors are closed, any door, from the fridge to the bathroom, and often has meltdowns, screams, and tantrums. But despite these very real signs that something deeper might be going on, there's been no professional help sought. No developmental screening. No speech therapy. No early intervention. Nothing. Bubba's day-to-day routine, as it's been shown, consists mostly of screen time or wandering while holding a pacifier. There's no visible effort to get him evaluated or to create structure around his needs. Instead of addressing these very serious issues, Stephanie continues to tell stories from her past, explaining how she and Drew were too young when they had children and never got the chance to find themselves. She says they're just trying to do their best now. But being young isn't an excuse when kids are involved. Parenting means putting your child's needs first, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. And right now, from the outside looking in, it feels like Stephanie is putting her own healing journey, her online presence, and her need to be understood ahead of what her children truly need: stability, structure, and safety. Stephanie often says he loves being outdoors, but maybe it's not about fresh air or playtime at all. Maybe it's because outside is the only place that doesn't feel like a cage. When a child would rather sit in the dirt than be inside with his family, it raises bigger questions. Maybe outside is the only space where he feels free, where he isn't surrounded by noise, tension, or tight corners. It could be the one place he doesn't feel anxious, suffocated, or completely invisible. Then there's the moment that really hit people hard. Bubba was found hiding food behind his bed. That's not something you brush off as toddler behavior. That's a scared child trying to protect himself in the only way he knows how. Kids hide food when they're worried it won't be there later, worried someone will take it, worried they'll go to bed hungry. That's not funny. That's heartbreaking. And when you pair that with how upset he gets whenever the fridge is closed, the picture becomes even more clear. It's not just about wanting a snack. It might be a trigger, something that sends him into panic because it reminds him of not having enough, of being denied something basic and essential. These are not small things. These are warning signs that something isn't right. And these are the exact moments when a parent should pause everything, take a closer look, and do whatever it takes to figure out what's really going on. But Stephanie doesn't seem to do that. She stays wrapped up in long, emotional talks about her own childhood. She spends time defending her partner, Jew, online instead of focusing on the needs of the one person who clearly needs her most. Bubba isn't just being overlooked, he's being left behind. Stephanie once said that she's a better mother than her own was. But better than a bad example doesn't mean good. She told a story about her brother, who had trouble talking as a kid. Their mom used to make him pronounce words properly before giving him what he wanted. Stephanie said that felt unfair and thinks he probably had a speech delay that no one took seriously. She promised she'd never do that to her own child. But what is she doing differently? Not forcing Bubba to say words isn't enough. She's not helping him learn them either. He still uses a pacifier throughout the day, something that can seriously delay speech development. There's no therapy, no structured learning, no signs of effort to build his communication skills. No routines, no practice, no guidance. Most days, he's either alone outside or glued to a screen. That's not growth. That's being left to figure it out on his own. Breaking a toxic cycle doesn't stop at avoiding what your parents did. You have to make new choices, intentional, consistent ones that lead your children into something healthier. Stephanie isn't doing that. She's stuck trying to prove she's not as bad as what she came from, without actually offering her kids something better. Avoiding old harm doesn't heal anyone if it just turns into silence, inaction, and neglect. The truth is, emotional neglect is just as damaging as physical harm, maybe even more so, because it lingers quietly. It doesn't leave visible marks, but it leaves a child feeling unimportant, unseen, and unsafe. And it's clear that Bubba is already showing signs of what that kind of environment does to a child. Stephanie even admitted to forcing her kids to sleep on the floor, not for a night or a short-term punishment, but for months, because they wet the bed. She made them sleep on hard floors in the kitchen or living room, and told the story like it was just another part of parenting. But that's not parenting. That's humiliation. That's neglect dressed up as discipline. And just because she says, "At least I don't hit them," doesn't mean she's doing right by them. Hurt doesn't always come with bruises. Sometimes it shows up in the way a child hides their food, shuts down emotionally, or can't find the words to ask for help. And the most painful part? Right now, Stephanie isn't listening.
The thing I don't understand is why people want us to stop talking about the resilient Jenkins. I personally don't receive much hate, but I've seen other creators get bashed. Like, I go in their comments and everyone is just coming at them. Like, y'all are channeling your anger for the wrong people. Because people talk about the Jenkins family, Ishan's birth mother was able to find out where her son was. Because people talk about the Jenkins family, Desiree was able to gain enough money in her GoFundMe to get a lawyer. Because people talk about the Jenkins family, the cats they abandoned when they got evicted were able to find a home. I really don't think anyone should be getting any hate for talking about the Jenkins family. Us talking about the Jenkins family has raised awareness for these kids. We are looking out for their children. But honestly, I really don't understand the hate, and I think y'all should redirect it towards them. I just felt like this needed to be talked about because it's just so weird seeing haters. Are you friends with them? Is that your friend? Is that your friend? Is that what you meant?
Making your kids sleep on cold, hard floors for months isn't just harsh, it's dehumanizing. It robs them of comfort, security, and sends a chilling message that even the most basic needs like warmth and rest can be taken away as punishment. It tells them that love has strings attached, that care is earned, not given. What makes it even more heartbreaking is how they finally got new mattresses, not because their mother stepped up, but because strangers online, people who didn't even know them, felt compelled to help. These were total outsiders, kind-hearted people who saw the desperation and stepped in when Stephanie wouldn't. She let others do what she should have done herself. That's not parenting. That's not being resourceful. That's relying on public pity to cover the essentials, and it's a deeply troubling way to raise children. One of the few positive things Stephanie was recently praised for was taking her kids to the library. For a long time, followers had been encouraging her to give her children some sense of normal life, urging her to take them somewhere quiet, safe, and enriching. And after weeks of suggestions, she finally did. But even that small step forward came with a huge safety concern. She left Bubba at home with Drew and drove off in a 5-seater car with 4 kids, including a baby. On the surface, it might sound manageable, but any parent knows that's not just risky, it's illegal. A standard sedan doesn't have enough seat belts or car seats to safely transport 4 kids. That means someone likely had no proper restraint, or was even riding in the front seat, which is extremely dangerous for young children. What makes this choice even harder to understand is the fact that they once had a family van. It wasn't fancy, but it was practical, it fit everyone and kept the kids safe, but instead of maintaining that, they sold it. Now, they're pouring money into a compact car that doesn't serve their family's needs. They keep it well maintained, they got new tags for it, and clearly take pride in it. But why invest in something that puts your children at risk every single time you go out? Why not trade it in for a used van that would actually meet their needs? It's another example of Stephanie and Drew choosing appearances over practicality, putting style or convenience ahead of safety and function. And it's the kids who feel the impact of those choices, again and again. Then there's Drew's work situation, which has also drawn a lot of attention. In a recent live, he proudly claimed he doesn't need a full-time job. According to him, a few hours doing DoorDash makes more than what most people earn in a full day. He made it sound like a win, like he's cracked some sort of life hack. But then came the part that really turned heads. He said he won't take on more hours because he's needed at home. But for what? He's not homeschooling the kids. He's not doing housework. He's not actively improving their situation. Half the time, he's not even present in the background when Stephanie's filming. So what exactly is keeping him from working more? Just as viewers started asking those questions, Stephanie hopped onto a live stream with a sudden explanation: Drew is autistic. No discussion, no diagnosis, no professional input, just a claim tossed out as a reason he can't be held to the same expectations as others. That's where the problem really begins. Because being autistic is not a shortcut around responsibility. There are countless autistic adults who go to work, care for their families, and navigate life with strength and commitment. Using a serious condition as a catch-all excuse to dodge accountability is not only misleading, it's disrespectful to the people who live with those challenges every day. There's no sign Drew has sought any kind of support, therapy, or diagnosis. There's no indication of accommodations being made or struggles being addressed. Just a vague label offered up the moment the pressure rises. The living conditions inside Stephanie's motel room have gone from bad to alarming. This isn't just clutter or disorganization, it's an active safety risk. Exposed cords are stretched across the floor like traps, just waiting for someone to fall. A child is seen sitting dangerously close to items that produce open flames. There's a deep fryer resting on what looks like a makeshift counter, probably used daily. This isn't a one-off situation, it's a regular, lived-in hazard zone. One small accident could ignite something irreversible. This is the environment her children are being raised in, where playtime happens just feet away from kitchen tools and electrical cords, and where sleeping arrangements share space with power strips. The same overcrowded room is expected to serve as their bedroom, daycare, and workspace all in one. There's no separation, no safety buffer, and certainly no margin for error. A toy left too close to the stove, a toddler tugging a plug, an overheated outlet, there are dozens of ways for something to go wrong, and the danger is always present. Despite all this, Stephanie continues to focus on filming, editing, live streaming, and growing her online presence. She's not in the shadows, she has viewers, donors, and people regularly contributing to her Amazon wishlist. She's got support, attention, and financial help trickling in. And yet, with all that visibility and generosity, things haven't gotten better. If anything, they've regressed. A year ago, there was at least some stability. She had an apartment. Small, yes, but a home nonetheless. Now, everything has collapsed into one motel room where routine has been replaced by chaos. And it's not because help hasn't been available. It's not a lack of support. The real issue lies in the choices being made. Somewhere along the way, Stephanie seems to have settled into this state of dysfunction. Maybe it's become easier to maintain than to fix. Maybe the attention from drama and content creation feels more rewarding than taking real action to build something better. But this is no longer just a financial issue. It's become a mindset, one where survival is framed as strategy and chaos is mistaken for hustle. The children, of course, are the ones most affected by this. They live in a space where safety is a gamble, where structure is non-existent, and where their well-being is treated like a background detail. They don't have a voice in this. They can't choose better for themselves. And while donations and outside support continue to roll in, the environment around them only becomes more unstable. So what's really going on? This family has received more help and attention than most in similar situations. So why aren't they moving forward? Is it just poor choices, or are deeper issues at play? Could there be mental health challenges involved? Addiction? A refusal to change? Or is it simply that being in a constant state of crisis is easier than facing real accountability? Because the longer this goes on, the clearer it becomes, these kids are growing up in conditions that could leave lasting damage. And while the adults continue the same patterns, the question remains, is this just neglect, or is there something even more troubling happening behind closed doors? What do you think? Is this a matter of bad parenting, or is there something darker being overlooked? Share your thoughts below, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Because this story is still unfolding, and the stakes are getting higher every day.